Hi guys, I thought I'd do a really simple tutorial. I might do a little run of really simple ones, just going back to basics with things. But anyway, for this one, it's really simple and it's using an extruder. So what I've got here is Fimo Professional in, I think it's just purple. Yeah, purple. I've got Fimo Effect in lilac, and here I've got Fimo Effect in rose quartz. Okay. And I've put a tiny little bit of Cernit Pearl in purple on that just to give it a tiny little bit of sparkle. So I'll mix that in, and I'm going to get a regular cutter and make sure I've got the same amount of each using the cutter, and then I shall be back. I'm probably going to roll it on a 0. So when I've got the same amount of each, it's all on a number 1, and I just cut one piece with a cutter, sorry, a 0. And I'm not going to do much, I'm only doing a small bit. But when you've done that, the next step is to cut them all up, chop them all up into pieces, and then start mixing them together. Okay, so just mix them as well as you can. Try to split up the clumps. I was inspired by this from a YouTube tutorial on Fimo TV, so I wanted to try a sort of different slant on it. So I should do one similar to what they did, and then I should do my own take on it. But I'll leave a link below for the tutorial that inspired me. But it's really interesting because I'd never thought of I'm going to be using an extruder, and I'd never thought of doing that before for sort of a geode look. I did try it with translucent, and it blends too easily. So I went back to basics of how they did it. Okay, so I've roughly mixed that up, clump it together, and then when this is rolled into a sausage, I shall simply chop it up again and repeat. Okay, so now I'm just going to literally chop it back up again a second time. I don't know what colours or what certain things from the original tutorial, because there weren't any details, so I don't even know what clay they used, so I've just done a take in a different colour, had a few goes till it worked. Okay, so that will do, I think. Actually no, I might give it another little chop just to spread it out more evenly, because the point of this is to break up the clumps as well by doing it twice, I presume. Okay, so I think that will do. Now I found personally it was easier to do 2 lots with the extruder rather than 1, because it will be self-explanatory as I go, but you're going to be making, I'm going to be using that on the extruder, so you're going to have lots of these little worms, for want of a better word. So I find it's better to have 2 goes, and then more the right length that's easier to manipulate. So I'm just going to, hang on, let me prepare my extruder. Okay, so here they are, gone through the sausage straight into the extruder using the pattern I showed you, and they'll come out like this, quite multicoloured. Okay, next thing to do now is put this through. I've done, even though they didn't say on the original tutorial, I'm putting them through on a 3, just to show you, so it flattens them out a little bit. So I should just do that with all of them. But if you can see, it just gives it that one hasn't worked very well, probably because I've got it on a 0. Let's try again, shall we? There we go. So it's just a little bit flattened. Okay, so I'm going to do that with all of them. Okay, so they're all flattened out. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just looking for the right colour for the job. I'm going to start with this one. I'm just going to cut an angle. I want to try and just create a 4 geode kind of pendant, just a simple one. Oh, that's broken off. That's not a good start, is it? So bring it round this way. It seems easier way to do it. So I'm just going to I'm leaving a hole in the middle, and I'm just bringing that round to attach to there. Now, just literally barely overlap. So you're leaving, the reason it's flat is because the myriad of shades will happen on the side, not the top. So I'm trying to make sure the sides are showing, but I'm just overlapping the edge as I go round. And I may need to add more than one, but I'd rather do that than have them too long, because that is a right pain for me. You might be fine. So I'm just adding these, gently pushing it down. I don't want it to overlap, just literally cover the edges. And depending on whatever size you want something, you know, you might want a very little pendant, you might want a big one. I'm going to do a bigger one just to show clearly what I'm doing. Just need to add a finder piece that's suitable to attach there. And because this is all going to be burnished, etc., it'll be fine. I just look for a similar shade. I'd love to have tried this with some of the Cernit colours, but each time I did, they just blended too easily in the extruder. So I think you need a firm clay. Okay, so I think that will do for that one. I'm just going to cut that there at an angle, so when I do burnish it, it will blend easier. So it's not very big at all, but I think it's fine for the job. Just need a bit of paper to burnish it. Okay, so it will start to burnish into itself. You may turn it over and find the other side better. Who knows? Okay. The other side's like that, which actually I do prefer the other side, which is interesting because it's lighter, isn't it? So I'm going to look at this side as the front. So I'll probably do another one of those exactly the same, and then just tidy it up anywhere it needs it. Definitely be pretty organic. I'm going to just take away a little bit in the middle there as well. Then just give it another burnish. Then I shall repeat that again with another one, but I also want to do a normal basic one, similar to what they did in their tutorial, just to show you other options if you don't want to do a geode. So this is just my take on it. So I'm just repeating the same thing, but I'm not leaving a hole in the middle. Okay, and you can make this one larger, and then it gives you a bit of a slab to cut out whatever shapes you want. And this one's quite one coloured there, isn't it? I don't really want that. I'm going to redo that one. Like a little bit more colour. Take that purple off there. And start to bring it round the same. I'm not using any translucent at all in this. Like I said, I did try translucent Cernit. I thought it would make a wicked one, but not for the extruder. It's just too soft to hold its own. And literally each one came out one colour, even though I'd used really light and dark colours together. So it was back to this. But these are ideal if you like sanding and polishing, things like that, rather than resin. I'm trying to look for multicoloured here. Okay. Just try and cut this off so I can get that to going to cut that there, and I'll add this here. So I'm adding purple to purple, so when I do burnish it, it'll look fine. I'm just trying to remember to keep it on the edge and not let it overlap too much. I don't want to lose all the different shades. So, that there. Actually, just take that off. So, I mean, I just want this big enough to make a pair of earrings. So I've got alternatives to the geode. I might as well use the rest of this up and see if it's handy for anything. Sometimes you get a bit more out of something than you expect, don't you? So I might as well use it up and see. But I think this opens up new doors, doesn't it, using an extruder, because it mixes it beautifully. And I know there's no translucent in it, but I think the end result gives a really nice, simple effect. So, okay, so now this is done, I'm just going to burnish it and then add a back in. Let's try and that slipped a bit there. I just want to try and make sure that goes back on. Otherwise it's going to be thin. Okay, I'll remove you. You don't want to play ball, do you? Okay, so that's how it looks, and then I'm going to start burnishing it. Give it a little roll. I'm going to be putting a backing on, and I'll run it through the pasta machine, but I just want to try and smooth it down a little bit first. Okay. So now I've done that, I'm just going to get my scraps from it, and I'm just going to create a backing. And so I've rolled the scraps as a backing. I'm just going to add this to it best I can. Okay, I'm just going to remove the excess. Then I'll run this through on a 0. Okay, so there's a 0. I'm just going to give it another little burnish in between because it all helps. And then I'm going to run this through on a number 2 that way to round it out a little bit. But I'm also going to add this crepe paper. I'm just trying to think now, will that matter? No, it doesn't matter. No. So I'm going to, because it's longer that way, I'm going to roll it through on a number 2 this way. Okay. And then that way I've got a nice pattern back, very finely patterned. and I can choose what I want to cut out. Now I got some lovely cutters from PollyMcClay. Oh, here goes my dogs. I'll pause. Sorry about that. I just had a parcel delivered. Okay, so I just had some lovely cutters come through, and they really got a good cut actually. PollyMcClay on Etsy. So I'm just going to make sure I use them at the right angle for what I want. Okay, so I'm going to try and get the center of this on both. So I'm going to put that one there. And I'll put this one here. Actually, what way did that pattern go? That went that way, so I want that one going that way. Cool, that was close, nearly messed up there. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use off of that for these. So now you've got a nice back. And I'm just going to put them on something arched to give them a little bit of shape. So those and this, which I haven't put a back on, but I will, I'm going to put into the oven. And I shall see you on the other side. Just follow the manufacturer's recommended temperature. Also, everything you need will be written above the comments below. So it's all out of the oven. I've made quite a few bits, but I'll just show you with this one, just a reminder how I do my backs. Now, because this is quite thin, I'm going to put a number 3 behind to make it firmer, and it's only flat. I haven't domed it. So what I generally tend to do is I've used the scraps from the main clay. I've left it a little bit marbled, so I might just mess that up. I'll have to re-roll it. So I think it looks more organic. So I'm just going to place this on here. I'm going to use some, I've lost the word. Oh, how can I keep doing this? Woman of a certain age, eh? I'm using some crinkly paper. I've just lost the word. Crepe paper on the back, just to give it a little bit of a texture, but it's quite bland, if you know what I mean. So I'm just, you can, at this point, if you don't have confidence, you can use some liquid clay to hold it together as one's baked. I'm making sure I'm pressing in hard, and I'm confident it'll be okay. So I generally tend to do my backs on 5s or 6s, but I do want this to have a bit more bulk, because putting it through the extruder, they weren't that big. They were still quite small, so it didn't have much thickness. Okay, so just going to go around the middle bit as well, cut that out, and then I should just tidy the edges up. Now I'm going to go the opposite way to the way I cut, just to make sure they're all sealed down, but it also gives it a nicer edge. Okay, I'm just going to rain that off a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in the oven. And then when I get it back out, I should just tidy it up, and then I shall show you everything now I finish them off. Alright, so they're all out of the oven now. I've just kept it really simple here. These are 2 geodes I made at the beginning, one of them with you, and I just put a back on as I showed you. And with these, I literally just gave them a quick polish, and that's as far as I've gone. So they're just really simple. Some people prefer simple, don't they? And I've done the same with these earrings. Okay, the only difference was I did varnish these. I'm waiting for my sanding and buffing machine to arrive, and I haven't got much of anything, so they're not brilliant, but they actually look really similar to the polished ones. Here anyway, I don't know how they look to you. So what else did I do? I'll just show you what else I did with it. I also did just a plain cross here, exactly the same, just put the textured pattern on the back, same as those. Okay, and I'll just put it on a temporary cord just to show you. So that's one cross, and then I did another little cross, a smaller size, and with that one I just put a little Swarovski crystal in it, and I just put some clay around and a bit of a twist. So that's those done, and they're from the same cutter studio as these, shop rather, so I'll put a link below. Also I did this one as well with some of the spare, and all I did with this one was I just added a little bit of that crystal, is it crushed glass they call it, and I just added a little bit of that and edged it with silver. Back's just the same. So that's those. And then just for a bit of fun with the leftover skeleton bits right at the end, I hate gathering waste, so I tend to try and use everything, and I just did this just for a little bit of fun. It's just one of those long, oh, I don't know what they're called, you know they are. And then I just made a pretty thing for it to go on, so I'm really pleased with that as well. Okay, so that's all made out of that one lot of extruder technique. So just showing you that, you know, you can go from basic to doing something a little bit more intricate. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video.